what they've done, that's a site on Reddit. What they've done is target large short positions.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe.
GameStop was 148% short.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
I actually think that they're smarter than you think. They're after the ones that are too short now and said, I think GameStop is going to 250. We like the stock. We like the stock. We like the stock. Ryan Cohen got in. He bought 15% at $8. He's on the board. We like the stock. We like the stock. We like the stock.
Social distancing variety hour. We like the stonks.
Woo! Stonks. Carl Stonks. Get your made by Maris. Carl Stonks t-shirts
from the Made by Maris collection.
This is a perfect time. He's Adam.
He's Michael. And this is Social Distancing Variety Hour, and I'm too hot already.
Adam. I got bills if you're gonna keep taking stuff off.
Hey. So yes, hello everyone.
Partial nudity in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, in the first reel and everything. Wow.
Oh man, A block partial nudity. Adam and Michael sell out tonight.
Yeah, Adam
let's
and
just
Michael
get
sell
right
out
into
tonight.
it, man.
Yeah, let's get right into it. I'm still fixing the graphic, but yeah, you get into it while I fix the graphic on the thing. As you can see in the bottom of not that corner, that corner of your screen down there. As of today, as of earlier this afternoon, we have a Patreon site for the show, patreon.com/SDVH. That's SDVH for Social Distancing Variety Hour. Go there, give us money so that we can buy wine.
So here's how this whole thing started. Like, last week Adam was like, "Oh, this has been 40 shows," and then at some point during last week's show, we hit 100 hours of broadcasting. But he was like 40 hours of shows, so that kind of stuck with me. I was like, "Damn, there are 40 shows," and I was like, "That's a lot." Like, time has gone by. We've been in the middle of all this madness, and yet this has remained something that has gone on. But then I started really digging down into it, and I was like, 40 shows, and we drink every show.
Pretty much.
And I think 98% of the shows I have had wine. And so at like an average cost of like $17, I've dropped like $700 and some dollars on drinking for this show. Because I just started thinking about that. Not because we love you. Like, it's not I'm doing it for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly what it's about. It's about you and you and you and you, and I appreciate it.
But not you.
I mean, I would have spent that money. Yeah, definitely not you.
No.
You know who I'm talking about. But I mean, I would have spent that money going out if we were, if I went out. Which people are still too many fucking people are going out. Like, I'll say it again. Like, there is nothing that is going to happen at Bullfrogs.
Oh God, no.
That is worth your life or the life of someone you love to get sick at Bullfrogs.
No. And
I'm just using them as an example because their parking lot is full when I drove by again this week.
Right.
And it's just, there were people downtown. There were cars lined up down the streets on Friday and Saturday night. Like, I don't understand it, but
I really don't either.
But I'm probably in the long term saving money. I mean,
yeah, I think so.
I mean, because triple that, and it's probably like three grand a year goes into my drinking habit. I don't know, something like that. But so I'm probably saving money in the long run. But we do a lot of work. You do a lot of work for this show, and it's a labor of love. But love costs money now.
Yeah.
and
Love don't come
we're
for
looking
free.
around at the state of the world, and so
and we thought this was
Adam
a thing
decided
that we thought
Patreon.
this was a thing that we would probably do for a week or two, and then you'd get the radio show back, and all my gigs would be back on again, and like we'd be like, oh, that was a fun thing that we did for that week or two in March, and here we are coming up on nearly a year later, and we're still here in the basement making shows for you, and there's ways that there's ideas that we've got that like, oh, if we had some money to throw at the show, we could get this and we could get that, and we could use this service that costs extra, and we could use this service that costs extra, and it would be nice if somebody bought us a bottle of wine every once in a while too, so we don't have to buy it ourselves. But down in not that corner of the screen is the link. It's right below you.
In the corner.
Yeah. Patreon.com/SDVH. Rewards
There's
at a variety.
Really good things down here.
Yep, it's good stuff. Just down out of frame.
Good stuff.
Rewards at a variety of levels, starting at just $2 a month, but $2 a month, less than a cost of I don't know. Insert Sally Struthers reference here.
A daily cup of coffee.
A daily cup of coffee for less than skip that one
to
daily
keep
cup
us
of
drunk
coffee.
costs
to
less
keep
than
us
keeping
drunk.
an African kid alive.
A bargain at twice the price. So we're gonna be new thing. If you support the Patreon, we're going to be making an audio podcast version of the same show that you're hopefully watching right now. For those of you who like to drive around and listen to podcasts, which I used to like to do back in the before times when I drove places in my car.
Drove around?
Yeah, back when I drove around. Gonna take a little extra time and make an audio podcast version of this show and future shows that will be available on the Patreon feed. At the lowest levels, we'll send you a nice little thank you card. We got a friend of the show, Doug Bailey, is working on some cool sticker ideas for us, so we'll send you some stickers and write you a nice thank you note like our moms taught us. Hi, Nancy.
We got Made by Maris t-shirts from all the fantastic t-shirts that we've been wearing.
Yeah.
So we can do those up for you by request, and we're
gonna make some bonus.
There's some really cool stuff.
We're gonna make some bonus video content.
The bonus.
Then
you can unlock the special features.
Yeah,
after the show.
Down,
we'll after the show proper.
Yeah.
Then there'll be a secret show,
after dark,
and it could be like Adam and I doing music. Yeah, Adam and I doing music, or we'll keep a particularly good guest on and just talk shit about people that you know and love.
Yeah, maybe
lots of interesting.
If we got a performing guest, maybe we'll get a bonus track from our performing guest, get some bonus performances from them. Michael and I, we used to I used to make the sounds and he used to make the sounds with his mouth on the show sometimes, and we've not done that for many a month now. But that's something that we can get back to and have that be available as part of the Patreon feed, available after the fact. But that's all stuff that's at the $5 a month level, and then
we've got
$10 a month level. We've got lots of alumni of the show, and we've got stuff of our own. We're putting together some. We're calling it the merch table grab bag. You'll get probably some books of poetry, maybe something from Mr. Bennett, maybe something from Mr. Luke Kuzmish, friend of the program. We got some of our musician friends who've been guests on the show are giving us some music. We got some art and some pins and some stickers and lots of cool shit, and you'll get a carefully curated bundle of cool shit at that $10 level. And then there's the super secret, double secret probation $25 executive producer level. You can come be on the show with us if you're not somebody that we would have had on the show anyway. And even if you were, you can come again. You can get us to
please.
You can get us to make you stuff. You want Michael on your voicemail yelling at people. You want me to play music for your Zoom yoga class. You want us to write the blurb for your independent romantic novel. You want something else that is about an equivalent amount of work. We got you. And then we got
And if you want to advertise your nonprofit, we'll
double secret bonus art stuff.
We'll charge you double
for that top level as well. So, Michael, what you drinking? Tell the people about it, because I already know, and I left my wine upstairs, so I'm gonna go get it.
Okay. All right. I like that Evil Al Baldwin is in the room. Oh man. Yeah, at that upper level, I will definitely cook you a meal and then deliver it to you. I'm not coming in anyone's home because I barely go to my home. Violet's in the house. Tonight I'm drinking Goru Gold. I've had it before. It's a very nice Spanish blend. Alto Jumila, Higo Bodegas, Bodegas Higo. Just absolute fantastic. 14.5%. 80% Monstrel, 15% Syrah, and then 5% Cabernet Sauvignon. Just delicious. The Syrah gives it just a little bit of the spice to it. Fuerza, which is another Higo Bodegas, is just the Monstrel and the Cab, which is really delicious. And then Infinito adds in a whole bunch of other stuff on top of it, and it's a really nice blend. But and they make hundreds of other wines that I'm pining after, because like there's all these things that'll please your palate, but I think the best thing about it is how it makes you feel. And I have absolutely been enjoying my Spanish red drunks, unlike a lot of the drunks that I've been having. So if that means anything to you.
There's a lot that you no longer seem to enjoy, because I've known you low these many years. We've known each other a long time, as you might guess. I've definitely in our day seen you imbibe on some stuff that is no longer stuff that you would touch.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I've probably had three beers in the last I don't know, year and a half maybe. I don't do that. Whiskey's not nifty.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some stuff. There's some other drinks that I won't. I don't know. But we've had some times. So
yeah.
What you gonna do? Oh, what up to Nicole? Thanks for tuning in, Franny. Glad to see you're around, my friend. Maybe we should get Franny to make us some art for T-shirts.
That would be
like we'll just staple some yarn and lint onto something and have Fran sign it. Fran Chance.
Staple some paper plates to it. Al Baldwin in the chat. Hi, Al Baldwin. Violet Salas in the chat. Hi, Violet. Violet's going to be on the show soon.
Oh, and Evil Al Baldwin would drink Mad Dog 2020. I hope it's the electric blue banana.
Evil Al Baldwin is a big martini fan. Martinis and cigars is what's on tap at Evil Al Baldwin's, at Casa Evil Al Baldwin. And I'm also back on our bullshit with the Spanish Red, back where it all began. I'm drinking El Miracle, however we want to pronounce this. Why can I not? I hate this light.
It means the miracle.
It means
in Spanish.
The miracle in Spanish. This is from Vicente Gandia, another Spanish winemaker. It's from the region of Spain that. It's from the Alicante region of Spain. It's like it jumped right out of my head. This is also mostly Monstrel, 25% Monstrel, 20% Pinot Noir, 20% Shiraz, 20% Merlot, 15% de Doxter Tempranillo. I've only had a sip or two of it so far, but it's so nicely blended. It's so smooth and nicely reasonably priced at your local Spanish Red vending establishment.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that we've sold out.
For those of you just tuning in, we got it once again. Stonks. Carl Stonks. Sean, the wine misses you. It told me.
It says hi.
I miss you, Sean. Yeah. Give us a kiss. Mm. So, how do you want to make this transition?
I think you
do you want to like we'll make the transition into our guest, but
right?
Should we even do a setup?
Or do we want to just go to a piece of music?
Should we just go in raw?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do a piece of music. Let's get our guest in here, and then we'll get into it together. Why not? So here.
Yeah, we're super stoked you're all here tonight.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving love in the comments. I like this comments thing and the feed and the thing. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, Tapper. I'm the wine whisperer.
Yeah, the wine whisperer's back.
I go out to Northeast sometimes in the spring and just like run through the fields and make the grapes grow. Listen to what they say. Listen to their screams of anguish, knowing their fate is to be destroyed and turned into wholesale grape jelly.
Northeast wine. So here is
the sweetest taboo.
This is Dr. Nathan Dufour Oglesby with some more
Ross
etymology. And we'll be back in a minute with our guest, Social Distancing Variety Hour, Erie.
Abracadabra. Abracadabra first appears in Latin in the 2nd century CE in the writings of Cyrenus Simonicus, physician to the emperor Caracalla. Cyrenus used the word in his Liber Medicinalis, a 1,115-line poem collecting popular medical wisdom and magical formulae for the treatment of disease. This particular formula required writing the word abracadabra repeatedly with narrower and narrower margins until it formed a triangle, then wearing that inscription on your neck. Do this, Cyrenus claimed, and you will cure an acute fever. It is reported to be of Greek origin, most likely emerging from the context of Gnostic literature, the mystical writings of Christian and Jewish sects in the 1st century CE. Some have claimed that the Greek in turn derives from the Hebrew abracadabri, meaning I will create as I speak. This would draw on the Kabbalistic notion of the power of words and letters to shape reality itself. But this connection is disputed by linguists. Whether or not this is the ultimate origin of the word abracadabra, we would do well to use all our creative resources to reshape reality in this present moment of crisis and flux. It may not be that a word alone can cure disease. Nevertheless, creative expression can carve out the psychic space in which we join forces to transcend it. Abracadabra.
Social distancing
variety hour. Sean Murray in the house. Sean Murray, welcome.
How's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Good.
So for the people out there who aren't acquainted, aren't familiar, give us the elevator pitch version of who you are and what you do and why you're here to talk to us today.
Cool. So my name is Sean Murray. I grew up in Erie, PA. I left to go do software engineering stuff all over the country. I used to make video games. Now I work at Amazon Alexa. So I moved from Boston to Phoenix. I'm out here just kind of hanging out in the pandemic. It's seems like the safest place to be in the middle of the desert. So I decided to do that. But I came to the show because I know Adam and Michael from a while back. I did a brief stint in Erie, PA back in 2015, 2014, 2015. I did some underground electronic music parties, started out in my basement. Got the cops called once. ended up moving on to some venues and did that for a bit. And then I ended up moving and taking a job back in Boston.
So how long have you been in Phoenix?
So I just bought a house just in the middle of the pandemic. I sight unseen. I just decided I'd never even been here before. I had a buddy out here. He said you should come out here, and I just decided I was going to do it in Boston, but I just did it in Phoenix anyway. Instead, I should say.
You're like the second tech person that I personally know that has just been like, oh, we've been working remotely forever, so why not just get the fuck out of where we are and go someplace. So has it been I mean, as a tech person and a lover of electronic, I was gonna say, has it been isolating? But that's been your whole life. So,
Well, I mean, so I actually am the exact opposite of the people that isolate. I used to go to like techno underground parties every weekend when I was in Boston. I go down to New York City all the time. So for me, that's not so much who I am, but a lot of people in the tech industry, yeah, totally. There, a lot of them don't really do a lot in the social aspect. But for me out here in Phoenix right now, I don't really know a lot of people. So I'm just kind of waiting for the Burning Man scene to kick back up when this pandemic is over. That's out here. So
yeah, for sure. Does it? Is it all like talking to people online? I mean, is it all like Tinder and Hinge and shit, and like just trying to keep yourself like occupied, or is it just like, I mean, because you're a new boy in town, and yet like there's nothing to do.
So I've been honestly just treating this as almost like a spiritual time in my life, taking the time to kind of work on myself. I just bought this house, trying to figure out what I want to do with it, figuring out trying to work on my career, and just taking some me time, meeting people. I meet some people through my buddy that I know that lives out here. So I'm just kind of working on stuff on the side, at work, and just kind of got lots of projects in the pipeline. So the socialization, I get it through mostly Zoom calls and things. But once this is over, I'm hoping to start traveling a bit and start to kind of visit everybody that I know.
Man, I can't wait for the first like warehouse rave after all of this. And it's just like
the first one that's not in Wuhan, China.
I made a joke. So many people are going to die because they're going to do so many stupid things.
Everything's going to be so clean, and there's going to be so much of it, and it's going to be just like people are just going to be giving shit like, oh, just throw it in your mouth. Oh, it's chiclets. It's just 15 people dropping dead dancing. And by that time we'll all be used to Americans dropping dead in front of us, so people just keep dancing.
Yeah. The guys with the brooms will just come out, push them off to the side.
It's going to be real weird when things start up. I mean, I'm also wondering about people that aren't used to socializing anymore, and they get back out there like, how do I do this?
Yeah, like there's people in the room with me. How do I overcome this?
Yeah, and these people need to be around another person.
Yeah, I mean, it's human nature. We need socialization. We need connection. So.
Yeah, that's a good spiritual journey to be on.
That's what I decided to do for the time being. So that's me.
Let's like one of the reasons that we had you on, is because I was so struck by everything that happened over the last, everything that came to a culmination over the last week, and all of the ways that it splinters out into just being part of everything, and like a warning sign, and a just like a beacon of hope.
Right.
So, let's go through the timeline as much and just help each other, because, it's a lot, but, do you Reddit? Are you part of that stuff? So
from time to time, I caught up pretty quickly on what was going on, but I've used it here and there. I basically follow stories going on in social media. I don't really watch Reddit too closely, but I know generally what's going on.
And I don't want to dumb it down too much for our audience, because they're all smart people that read the news. But at the same time, like in the Wall Street Bets was a Reddit group, and it was just like dudes just, kind of egging each other on to do dumb shit with stocks,
buying dumb stocks
in the same way that people bet on sports, and the same way that people do, like Minecraft. Like it was just their thing,
Right.
And then they figured something out. So short selling is kind of betting to lose. And so there were a number of, but one in particular hedge fund just was short selling GameStop stock. And that just happened to be one of the ones. And some of the things I've read have said that they knew it was kind of like against Melvin Capital, but not so much them in and of themselves, but it was because they were fucking with GameStop. And it was where a lot of people like grew up and got their games before they could just be downloaded onto your system. Right. And so there was just a soft spot of just like, well, fuck you for short selling this.
Yeah.
And then that all of a sudden when they start buying and everybody starts going on, then that short selling isn't going to pay off. And in order to make up, they themselves, the hedge fund themselves, had to start buying up that stock, which just caused a huge rally, which then, all hell broke loose. So Sean, like, where do you come in? Like, where were you on it when it happened? Like, how quick were you in, and how much stock do you own in GameStop and AMC and Nokia?
So I actually own no stock in GameStop. I heard about this happening when it started, going off, and I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole because, I almost bought one just to say I got a ticket to the party, and I wouldn't care if I lost it, just to say, hey, I was there. But it's, the thing is this is a really unique situation that anybody that's looking at the data could have seen this coming a mile away. And a lot of people did, but they didn't think it would go that way. They never expected a bunch of people online, on Reddit, to just gang up together in social media and just say, screw you. They didn't expect that. Though investors were all like, oh, well, GameStop's going to obviously lose, so we're going to pull these short sales, right?
Right.
So the thing is these short sales, they exist for a reason, right? You have your traditional stocks that get traded back and forth. The value goes up and down, but then you've got this other layer on top of it where you can trade about the expectation of the stock, which is like speculation, right? You can do what's called options. You can do a call, which means you say you think that the price is going to go up. You do a put, which this means you think the price is going to go down. Okay. Short sale is different. You buy it. You borrow it, you borrow it and you sell it to somebody, and then you say, well, I know it's going to go down, because in this case, everybody was like, GameStop is on its way out, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy this back at like, a tenth of the cost, and we're going to walk away with bags of money, right?
Right.
So the thing is, like, this dude comes along on Reddit, and it's funny. His name is Deep Fucking Value.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, this dude, he comes along, right? And he's like, oh shit, there's all kinds of short sales. And so you know what he does? He buys call options, right? Call options means that the price is going to he thinks it's going to go up, and he buys them out like far out, right? And so what happens with a call option is, so as time goes on, your option goes down in value. It decays. Every day it decays a little percentage of the number of days that it takes you to get to the final day of the options where you have to use it. And if you, so basically this guy, he did a bunch of call options, and the price of the stock went down, right? And he didn't really panic, whereas most people would panic and get out of the market. Because with call options, the price can go down, and all of a sudden you've lost $500, and you're like, well, why did I lose $500? But if the stock goes back up, because stocks go like this, then your option is now worth plus 500 or maybe plus 2,000. It's an exponential growth with call options. So what the dude did, just bought a ton of call options and just waited it out, and the stock kept going and going and going little by little, and he started getting a lot of money, and then he started buying GameStop stock. And then he bought like $700,000 worth of GameStop stock, and he sat on it. And he wasn't the only guy. There was another guy that actually was involved in buying at least almost 10% of GameStop stock when he got involved in trying to help restructure the company way back in 2019, right? And that's kind of what led to the short sale. Like, they saw GameStop was not doing well, and this dude buys 10% of the company. And then this guy on Reddit buys 10% of the company. The difference is the guy on Reddit publicly posted it on Wall Street Bets and said, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. You should join me. It would be fun because I like the stock. And you can't tell people what to do. You just say, hey, I like the stock. Do you like the stock? Yeah, I like the stock. It's code for do what I do.
Right.
Because it's called plausible deniability when it comes to the SEC regulations.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's some sort of legal hedge. Like, it's giving investment advice to say you should buy this.
Correct.
But it's not investment advice and not illegal to say, I like this.
Yeah, I like this.
And I'm a cool guy.
I like this.
Cool
Here's
things.
why. Do you like this?
You should like what I like.
Oh, I see your charts. I like that too. So this dude starts he starts making money off this, and he starts, he's trickling in from this call option. So he would sell his calls for a good amount of money and then buy GameStop stock and just keep accruing this. And then everybody else started buying it and saying, hey, we believe in what you're doing. We're going to do it too. And the answer is not to sell your stocks, just hold the stocks. So what are they doing? They're buying up all the stocks. So there's little supply. Now, this is where the short squeeze comes in. All these investment firms basically have they've done all these short positions, right, where they borrowed the stock, sold it, and they wrote a contract that says, I have to buy it back at a specific date in the future. If they don't, then they accrue interest every day thereafter. So eventually, they have to buy the stock, whether they do it now or they do it later. They have to close the stock. So they can exit now, or they can wait and see if it goes down, but it probably won't. So it's like, What are you going to do? So the idea is keep the supply low by everybody holding GameStop stock, because most of GameStop stock, the number of GameStop stock that is in play to be sold is way, way less than the number of short sales. And there's a problem with the short sale system where people can borrow more than they actually own.
Yeah.
So basically, I can borrow a stock from you. Okay, let's just say there's one stock in existence. I can borrow the stock from you. I can sell it, and I'll say I'll buy it back at a later point. Then I can borrow. You could basically buy it back from me, and I'll borrow it again from you, and then I'll sell it back, and I'll just have 2 borrow contracts, and then I'll say, okay, well, I'll write out 2 of them. Now I've basically borrowed 200% of a stock. Now what happens when it's due and there's no stocks available?
Then you got to conjure it out of thin air. And
price goes up, but
right.
Price is whatever somebody sets it at. And right now, the people have set the price. So what's literally manifested is Occupy Wall Street version 2 in the social media realm on Reddit.
Yeah.
And there's a damn thing the SEC can do about it.
Well, yes, yet.
Yeah.
What we saw on Tuesday, Wednesday was, or maybe later in the week, I don't know, days mean nothing to me anymore. But, after it broke, all the Robinhood app, which seemed to be the choice of a new generation, but all of these Ameritrade, like all of these apps, you could not get GameStop, you could not get AMC, you couldn't get Nokia, you couldn't get BlackBerry, because once they saw blood in the water, they're like, oh, they're shorting all of these companies that we would care about because of some, or we can get it and really fuck these people over. So which I've seen both sides of that there was the run of like, we could probably make a bunch of money on this with these stocks going up, and then also, who cares if we make a lot of money, because these motherfuckers are going to bleed money.
Right.
And, and I think that's the kind of thing that you need. You need something like that will keep every interested party going, because Occupy Wall Street, everyone started fragmenting after they came together. Whereas with a stock, like, you're either going to make a bunch of money for yourself, or you're going to take down a billionaire hedge fund, or just a billionaire in of itself. So either one of those things can be your, thing, and that'll bring more people together than any kind of like, let's all sit in the park in the cold until these people recognize us, and they're drinking champagne on the 42nd floor, looking down on them and laughing,
let's have a drum circle.
Right.
So it was interesting. You mentioned what happened the last Tuesday and Wednesday, right? When all that they started limiting the stock buys and stuff, and that one of the reasons that started. You just touched on it, like the hedge funds, all these investment firms. They are already part of the same systems that do this. Like, for instance, Citadel was a major investor. Citadel was a major investor in Robinhood. And because Melvin Capital, one of the original groups to go down, they lost $3.5 billion from this so far, and they allegedly closed out their positions. Citadel allegedly bailed them out, right? So now they have a vested interest in this getting resolved, but they're also backing Robinhood. So Robinhood stopped their sales, and they're trying to say, well, we couldn't handle the bandwidth in the back end. Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. I work in software. I know you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So, they're just, what they're doing is they're pulling strings to try to prevent people on the large to buy more shares to hold them, because they know that the objective here is for people who want to hold the shares to screw out all these investment firms of their money. And there is a double-edged sword to this because people have 401ks. So the average person that's trying to save for retirement, this could catastrophically explode into other areas as well, because what happens if investment firms are trying to cut their losses by selling other stocks that are within their investment for people's 401k portfolios? Now people are losing money that had nothing to do with GameStop, even in their own 401k firm.
Right.
No.
Just because people,
but
yeah.
Right, but then here's me not playing the cynic. Silver lining then is we see all this fraudulent bullshit, and then there's billions of dollars available to just take care of people in their retirement as they should be, because then we can have some kind of safety net system to do that. Whereas now, you are probably on a whole other level than us because, Alexa money doesn't flow through the Commonwealth. But I have a pension and I'm not even guaranteed, I'm not guaranteed that. I don't believe that's coming, and another housing bubble could blow out a 401k and no one went to jail for that shit, so I'm on the, I'm always on the side of anarchy, but I think that, okay, is it worse? Is it worse with everything going on to maintain this system that we know spreads disparity? Or is it worse that perhaps some 401ks will get fucked over in the process,
Well, I think one of the problems with this entire stock market system in the first place is that they started layering extra game mechanics on top of the whole thing. It used to be just stocks go up and down, and they define the worth of a company based off of what an individual, if a company's public there, that is, what the individual says that the company is worth by the value of the stock.
Right.
And what they did is they add the options on top of that, and then they made it legal to do short sales. And then the biggest problem right now with 401ks, though, is because I believe it's 2020, it was the conservative-controlled Congress, they passed a law that allowed 401ks to actually utilize hedge funds for their investment backing. And that was a catastrophic failure, because that's exactly what's happening to people right now. Now, let me ask this. Who's actually going to get the money from the GameStop stocks at the end of this? My gut tells me that the people that hold the most shares are going to move the most shares, and those that bought one or two thinking they were going to cash in and make a quick buck, they're going to be left holding the bag.
Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but again, even at $374 a share, okay. I can, they'll get their $1,400 makeup check maybe in March. So there you go. But knowing the tech world like you do and seeing everything that happened, there's got to be, where'd the analysis get lost, because they shut down these Robinhood apps and shit right quick when there was money on the table. But all these other apps, when they were planning a seditious raid of the White House, were just up and running, they were hooked into the national Wi-Fi, and that shit was fine. But, I'm not even talking about the scoping it out, but where do you fall in this line of, you're making these things happen and these are the possibilities of it versus you look at your black hat sometimes and think, oh, I'm the baddie.
Everything can be measured, right? All the data is always on the table. It just depends on if somebody's looking. When it comes to things like, the raid on the White House, people were looking at that. There was data there. But the reason why that took so long for people to get involved was because the laws, right? The legal system is so slow in this country that they couldn't get anything done. And that's true democracy. It takes a long time for things. There's all kinds of rules and regulations. The bigger government gets, the more rules and regulations there are. I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad. It is what it is right now, right? It can go either way. You make a bigger government or a smaller government, right? Less rules, more rules.
Right.
In terms of the stock market, we need less of these rules that allow people to play different games on that market. Could we have seen that data ahead of time? Sure. Was anybody looking for it? Probably not. Here's the thing. Everybody's saying, I like the stock. Okay? Yeah, but do you like GameStop?
Right.
Not a single. I don't know anybody that actually likes GameStop. Everything I hear about GameStop is, man, they only give me like $5 for my fucking game.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a certain,
absolutely
people of a certain generational cohort, which I mean, I don't know how old you are, but you're on the order of our age. Like there's a certain nostalgia for. I mean, for me, it's more about records and books than it is about going out to buy video games. But
I love physical media. I like a hard book in my hand.
Yeah, and I do too. But like, there's a certain nostalgia for a retail experience that was important to us in our formational years that is lost or is dying. So, the Best Buys of the world, the Barnes and Nobles of the world, these things that were like, when you and I were kids and teenagers and into our 20s, like that's where you went to get the things that you cared about.
Exactly.
And now the place that you go to get the things you care about is the internet. And all of these legacy retailers, it's like, oh, I remember, going to get my, favorite video game when I was 13 at GameStop. GameStop used to be awesome. So I feel like it's this like, there's this like 90s nostalgia that drives
that
so
one
much.
Time my dad came back and took me to GameStop. Bought me the new Mortal Kombat.
Bought me Final Fantasy VII. But yeah, like I feel like there's like there's a 90s nostalgia, and even later than 90s, even early 2000s nostalgia that's post-millennial internet culture is like they've got nostalgia for this stuff that isn't gone yet but is dying, and I wonder how much of a factor that is in why GameStop.
Well, I can tell you why that's happening. This is a little bit of a slight, I'll do like a 1-minute tangent. This is all related to social media. Social media has created a disconnect with the newer generations. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or good thing. I'm just saying that this is, in a way, people have become a little bit more disconnected from the personal experience. And this is very prevalent when you try to call someone on the phone and they say, oh, I'd rather just text.
Mm-hmm.
See, I come from a place where I would rather hear somebody's voice and talk to them and have that personal communication.
Yeah.
And I deal with text messages, and that's fine. Like text messages, Facebook Messenger and everything. But like a phone call to me is worth its weight in gold because I like hearing my friends' voices.
Well, and like you and I talked earlier this week about having you on the show, and we exchanged a couple of Facebook messages back and forth, and you were like, "You have time for a phone call?" I'm like,
"Totally."
That's kind of weird, but okay, why not?
It's almost like nobody wants to have phone calls anymore.
And then we had a great talk, and we ran down a lot of stuff that we're talking about now, and then I got to the other side of it, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Like we're in the same place on this. Like we like what each other has to say about this. This is going to be great. Cool. And like, all the exchanging text messages with, I mean, I don't want to call out any past guests because we love you all and you're all our special snowflakes. But, there's definitely been ones.
Come on, pick your favorite kid.
No, not doing it. But like, there's definitely been ones where we've gone into it being like, I think this will be all right. I don't really know where this guy's at, but we'll see what happens. But like this one, like just that 10 minutes that we spent on the phone, you're right. Like we came out of that being like, yep, we know where we're at. We're in good shape, and we've connected on this, but better than we would have without it, for sure.
Other people.
I mean, there's a sense of knowing what a person is like, and knowing, the matchup of personalities, the flow of communication, and being able to get that rapport that you can't get with a text message. You can try,
Yeah.
but it's never going to actually manifest that way. And the same is true for the retail experience, to go back to that. Like going into the store, into GameStop, I remember going to GameStop, and as much as in my later years, I started getting like, oh, I hate when these guys come up to me. I'm just looking, right?
Right.
But like, so when I was younger, I used to go in there, and those guys were super cool. They'd be like talking up the newest games, and like we could like get into it for like 10 minutes and just talk about all these random games in the store, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, like when I was in college, it wasn't GameStop. It was like the local mom and pop game store in Pittsburgh where I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But like that was one of my hangouts. Like, I've still got good friends to this day who I met hanging around the video game store in college, and it was like I got an hour between classes. I'm not gonna walk all the way back to my apartment. I'm going to get a coffee, and I'm going to go upstairs and hang out in the video game store and see what Scott's playing today. And, bullshit about video games for an hour. It's not just these retail places that are dying. They're not, or at least in the good cases, they weren't just about commerce. It was like, there was kind of a communal gathering place element to the best of these, and not that maybe GameStop is exactly a communal gathering place, but like,
But if it is, if there isn't mom and pop, but it's also the tactile experience of possessing something.
I mean,
bringing home treasure and unwrapping it.
I mean, how many nights as a teenager and into my 20s did I spend hours just like walking around Barnes and Noble, walking around Borders, going like, "Oh, that's a cool book. I never heard about this thing before. Let me look at that. Let me see. Let me touch all the records and fondle all the merchandise." And And how many things?
And now to bring it back around, you can like.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go.
No, I mean, how many things that we all now know and love?
Wikipedia roulette.
Yeah. How many things that we all now know and love are in our lives because, in some retail situation, it was like, here's a thing I've never seen. That looks cool. Why not? And that's the kind of chance encounters with things that, despite the long tail and despite you can get anything that's ever been made by anybody on the internet. It's not going to jump in front of your face. Like you gotta be looking for it, or there's got to be some gatekeeper, curator figure who's like, here's what's cool, check out what's cool. And that's where people like Michael come in.
Comic book shops were notorious for that. The people that run the comic book shops, they knew every comic that was coming through there.
Yeah,
they were like gurus. They'd be like, "Oh, did you check out the new issue of Spider-Man, new issue of Batman?" Whatever. They would tell you about the new crossover that was happening. They'd be like, "Oh, you got to buy this one, this one, this one." And they'd take you over. They'd show it all to you, and you'd be like, "Wow, okay, cool."
And like, "Oh, so and so's writing this one. He was the guy who inked, Swamp Thing number 23, and yeah." And like it's all this stuff that like you can now go down your Wikipedia rabbit holes and figure out like, oh, this guy who made this thing is also the guy who made this thing, but there used to be these curator figures who would be the ones imparting this institutional knowledge about like, oh, you like this thing, that means you should check out this thing. And like we've all seen we've all seen High Fidelity and all of that stuff, obviously, but there's something to the record store snob that like going on Bandcamp. And Bandcamp does a better job than a lot of online things of like they editorialize. They have their like, here's what's new and cool in this genre of music this week, and like I've had friends like get good write-ups from Bandcamp and get nice bumps in their sales and all of that stuff. So they do a better job than most. But like if you go on Spotify, Bob Spotify is not going to be like, You know what I think you might like? I got something over here you might like. Come over here and I'll show you. Because it's, it's just people getting paid, people paying for playlist placement and all of that stuff. And it's not... We're three old white guys talking about how much we miss record stores, and this has just occurred to me.
I mean, there's nothing better than a crisp, fresh new vinyl of a song that hasn't had a lot of prints made of it in vinyl. And then you get it, and you get that smell, and then you put it on the record, and then it just sounds that way. And if it's electronic music, like if you're into like techno or house or anything like that, and you just mash it up with another one, it's just like there's no other feeling than just taking that record and mashing it with another record, and all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, it's good stuff. But I mean,
then for sure. Oh, what are you drinking first? Because I can see.
Yeah, this is the thing we do.
So this is actually local here. This is called Papago Orange Blossom, and Papago State Park is actually about 20 minutes south of me, and it's one of the most beautiful places to see the sunset here in Phoenix. It's a huge rock formation. You can climb up through the back, and there's an opening through the rock, and it faces the sunset. And like a bunch of people just go there and watch the sunset.
I'm gonna find a picture so we can show the people what Papago State Park looks like.
It's beautiful. Yeah, you'll find some great pictures.
I'm almost. It's a cornucopia of everything I want to talk about tonight, because I really want to talk about gatekeeping, because I think that's so important. And I think with the internet, like it's allowed you never have to listen to not just a bad song, but you never have to listen to anything you don't want to. And once you find something, you can just get lost in that. Like, I just think of just somebody that just likes their metal heavy can just listen to that every day and just like never have to leave that, because there's everything. You can find everything on Spotify, everything on YouTube, you can just stick in your genre and you never have to leave, or you can just oversaturate yourself with everything and never find anything, because you're always just looking for something, versus when you have someone that would provide that for you. And I always go back to music, because it's just the easiest thing, and it's something that's in everyone's life, but without, like the corporatization of radio and everything, where it stopped being about any local flavor, or like having a crazy DJ that would play something that would be like, now you found it, and you just don't have that now. It's just everything's been means tested in Topeka and Omaha, and it's sent all out across the country on every Bob and Jack FM and stuff, and it's the same songs every day, and there's nothing there. So you either have this limited supply, or you have anything you could ever want in that. And what, I find it fascinating for us, because we came from a time where you had to pick through bins. We still pick through bins, and at the same time, is this going to be a cool picture?
Papago State Park, by the way. Watermarked picture because it was the nicest one I could find. But that looks like it sucks.
There's some better ones, but it's a great place. It's great. So I was gonna say, you're right. There's a corner of the internet for everybody. Yeah. And there's an infinite number of corners. And I want to say that this is one of the reasons I'm a proponent of the underground. And I know I'm biased towards electronic music. I grew up on live music, but I've gravitated towards underground music. But I found that when you go to the local and underground areas where people that are local are throwing shows or parties and stuff like that, it's that's where the culture really is. That's where you meet some of the best people, the people that actually care about the arts and the music. And there's some problem spaces here and there, but by and large, you're going to meet the most authentic people and get the most richest experiences. And you're not going to hear all that mainstream stuff that, like you said, comes out of Topeka and Omaha. This thing gets funneled through a big funnel, oh, here, just consume the shit. Nobody wants to do, why would you want to do that? There's so much in the world to experience, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you go to another country and you just do all the tourist traps. Why not meet some locals and go on a locals journey?
Yeah, that could be frightening for a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the air-conditioned bus.
By the way, Sean, Ashley Sarah de Rivas says in the comments that she'll have to mail you some beer. So, yes.
Oh, what?
There
Can
you
do
go.
that? I thought that was illegal. Can you do that? Don't tell.
The sheer amount of illegal things that run through this show.
Yeah. Yeah, we were. I was setting up the. I was setting up the Patreon today. I'm like, well, we can't offer that because that's illegal. Well, we can't mail people that either.
Yeah.
We'll just have to make vague generalities.
But check out our
OnlyFans for you. But check out our OnlyFans where we'll send you beer, beer and porn and partial nudity, and yeah. Not a thing yet. Maybe it should be.
Watch me suck my own toes.
Doug Bailey, yes, record country on Buffalo Road. That's one for the Wayback Machine. Yeah, I used to love that. That was a weird one because the record country on Buffalo Road, like they used to have like bootlegs when they still made physical bootlegs, like the Italian imports of like live stuff that was still pressed on physical CDs. I still got a small collection of ones that I got. They used to have. I'm aging myself, but they used to have like the record shows at like the Avalon or some like hotel ballroom, and it would be like like all these dudes.
No, it was absolutely the Avalon,
with like
like
all these dudes with like Italian bootlegs of like, oh, here's the Yes show that I went to in 1994 on some Italian knockoff label. Yeah, and they were great, and I miss them because I'm old.
Yeah, bootlegs are pretty cool. Yeah. They weren't exactly the most right thing to come across.
No,
but you got to hear some unique stuff. The original artists hated it when bootlegs came out.
Oh yeah.
But man, if you weren't at that party, but you got bootleg and you got to experience it anyway, pretty good.
Right? And so like, what do you do when everything's a bootleg? When someone's got a phone up and they're standing over, everybody in the DJ booth, and it's just like, there's 80 other people on Twitch, just watching that same shit.
Sometimes I think we're too connected as a society, and it's kind of polluting the arts a little bit. But at the same time, people are coming together, and people are learning how to make new and more interesting art or combined art with other people. And so it's a double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to that. And so where we come from, where it was a little bit more closed off and localized, we're seeing a more global renaissance starting to emerge. And I think that, if we look at it from the standpoint of the fact that everybody's coming together and bigger and better things can come out of this, it's not so bad.
Well, and I feel like it's, because the internet in general, and even more so, I think, because we're, stuck at home, it's kind of somewhat turning from local communities to like intentional online communities where you've got people who are in a scene that's not a geographic scene, but it's a stylistic scene. It's people that are gathering on this particular forum or playing on this particular streaming channel or things like that, where you've got things that are a community of artists that are not necessarily here's the underground electronic scene in Erie, Pennsylvania, but here's the underground electronic scene that's being played on this streaming radio station. Here's the underground electronic scene that is playing this series of streaming events. Here's the underground electronic artists who are hanging out on this internet forum. And I think there's
these guys like the droniest of the drone.
Well, I know the people who like some of the droniest of the drone. That's for sure. Hi, Evil Al Baldwin.
That's like 0.0007 beats per minute.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
It's true. Oh, my keyboard's not plugged in.
So-
It's gonna make weird sounds.
With the pandemic, and us having to go online and do the online stuff like this, across all mediums for all artists, it's harder to get that visibility, because if you've never gone to, like, say, a club or a bar or something and gotten to see a local artist doing their thing, then how are you going to come across them on the internet unless somebody's sharing that and saying, come to this?
Right.
But when you're faced with come to this or come to these 20 or 30 other things going on, and one of them happens to be some like big AAA or some 5-star artist or something, and you're like, oh, well, I want to see that. It's like you got to choose, and it's really difficult sometimes. I mean, I found myself choosing between local artists, right, and watching some like guy I've never seen spin live, and now he's doing a live stream for free. I'm like, I kind of want to see that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that, right? Because I want to support both, but you can't really do that in real time. In real life, you wouldn't be going to these big shows all the time, right? You would probably be going and supporting your local friends about, half the time.
Right. Well, and in the before times, I would get all these Facebook invites for like, oh, friend of mine is playing a gig in Brooklyn. That sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. Cool story, not going. But now it's like, this Facebook friend of mine in Brooklyn is playing a streaming set on Thursday at 8. Like, I could try and make that. So it increases for better and for worse, it increases the choices that you have available to you, just because the geographic obstacle is no longer the kind of obstacle that it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can bounce back and forth between different shows. So it's like if you went to a festival and you didn't have to travel to the different stages, you could be like, boom, teleport. Like, you're literally doing that.
Well, and we got at least a couple people who are watching us on Twitch. When I'm watching stuff on Twitch, I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, 2 minutes of this guy spinning. Oh, 2 minutes of this guy playing poker. 2 minutes of some guy playing retro video games. Oh, this person, cooking. Yeah, it definitely contributes to that sort of like festival. Everything is available, and it's all right there. And the sort of casual drop-in watch, rather than the I've made a point to trudge out through the tundra and be at your show. Like, we're definitely. I mean, even with this show, we get people who like poke their heads in, say hi, leave, which if you had to go to your local venue to be at the show, you wouldn't do that. So it's a connection, and it's an interaction with somebody who probably would not have made the effort to come out and watch Michael and I talk and drink wine for 3 hours at at local venue. We should definitely do when doing things in places is a thing again. We should do a live social distancing variety hour.
Yeah, we'll find a venue.
The stage show experience.
Hey, let me know. Maybe I'll drive over.
Hell yeah.
I'll fly over.
Yeah, you'll be.
Thinking I'm still in Boston for a second.
Yeah. I wish you were still in Boston. I need a new place to crash to go see Celtics games.
Give me a couple of years, maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll be back there.
Perfect. Back Bay Brownstones. So with that, and being in the field that you're in, like, and just looking at last week with the stock market and GameStop, there are these niches of the internet that open themselves and lend themselves to some kind of camaraderie, whether it be like hyping a DJ or whether it be hyping a stock. Do you see that happening more where, I don't want to keep using the same example, but a bunch of people occupying Wall Street versus a bunch of people all coming together on the internet for a direct action? Is it easier because we're all...
Oh yeah, because as much as this manifested as like a strategical maneuver by a guy that named Deep Fucking Value, that basically bought a bunch of GameStop stock and said, "I'm holding these. You should do the. I like the stock. Do you like the stock? Because we could hold it together, and we could short squeeze these guys." The thing is like at the end of the day, everybody that's doing it right now is either they either don't know how to invest properly, so they're doing what happened in 2017 with the whole Bitcoin fiasco, right? They're doing that thing and they're buying in and they're going to lose their money, or they're literally just buying a couple shares just to be a troll. And the troll, here's the thing, like people underestimate the value of internet trolls. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Trolls can be really brutal, but trolls can be really smart. In this case, the people that are collectively coming together to do this, they know what's going on. They know what they're doing. They're effectively trolling Wall Street, and they're going to get away with it if they hold the line. If they literally don't sell those stocks, those companies have to buy the stock back at a high price or pay interest every day. And at that point, they might as well buy the stock or they're screwed anyway. So it's going to be like a face-off. Who's got more willpower?
Nicolas Cage.
And then
Nicolas Cage. John Travolta.
Fair enough. Fair point. Well made.
Take his face off. Okay, and so here comes the idea of recognizing class war.
Okay.
Where we can see that as soon as shit was public and hit the fan, and it seemed like every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Sally and Mary Sue could all jump on this bandwagon and fuck a lot. Like, I mean, because the initial list wasn't just GameStop, but AMC and Nokia and BlackBerry. And then there were other things in the pipeline where it's like, here's a bunch of people short selling on shit that we could just make money on and fuck these people, but at what point is it, that shit got shut down. Real quick. Ben Bernanke sits on the board of Citadel, and that guy was just working at the Fed, within the last 10 years.
And
so
that's what they do. And Janet Yellen. We need to go back and talk about Janet Yellen.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what they do. They move on to the private sector once they're done with the public sector. What they do is they make deals so that when they're done, and this is usually behind closed doors, like there's no real proof of this, but basically private companies say, if you kind of massage the situation and vote my way, we'll give you a job when you're done in the public sector and you can come join the private sector. And you'll see that time and time again, public officials going to private sector. We know what's going on. We're not done.
Fuck that. Here's something that happened that just came to light within the last 2 days is that Biden announced that he wants the whole postal service to go electric, to have a fleet of electric mail vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's going to be every federal, which great, awesome. Like we should have done this decades ago, whatever. But it turns out Nancy Pelosi had invested heavy in long-term options on Tesla. And then this happened.
To be fair, who hasn't?
Right.
That thing keeps going to the moon.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I keep spending all my money on things like food and shelter. So yeah, I don't have long-term options on Tesla personally, but you do you.
Yeah.
I can tell you where Tesla's going in 10 years. Less than 10 years. Okay. Batteries. You heard about their new million-mile battery, the nano battery? They came out with the new battery technology?
Kind of.
So they're going to put new batteries in the cars in about 2 or 3 years, and you buy a Tesla, and it has this battery, so the battery power of the car can hold a lot more energy than it can right now. Well, what is a lot more? It's basically greater than or equal to the amount of power that you can store in a Tesla Powerwall battery in your garage.
Okay.
Which means your car becomes a portable power wall. Here's the loophole. If you have solar panels, then your solar energy goes into your car, and your car is your power wall and stores the energy for you in your car. You don't need a power wall. You have a car. You could get a power wall too, but you have a car that holds just as much as a power wall. And here's the loophole. Solar power companies tell you that if you lease not own, but lease from them, you're not allowed to store power in a Powerwall. But if you buy them, you can.
But you are allowed to store it in your Tesla.
That's the catch. And so Tesla is now going to turn all Tesla cars into portable Powerwalls, and now you're going to see people driving around the country with a bunch of power and just working remotely, and the whole world's going to change.
I mean, you could line your garage with solar panels and run your house off your car for the rest, then what's First Energy going to do?
Exactly. That's the point. It basically puts these solar panel companies, in terms of leasing, out of business because, as far as like these loopholes, because right now they basically say you have to lease from us for X number of years, right? And then you're not allowed to put, power into your Powerwall. But if you buy them from them for a lump sum, then you can. But who can do that, right? Everybody has to pay per month, or else nobody has $25,000 for panels. Who can do that? Very few people. So they get you by the balls, right?
So now
works a lot better. Works a lot better in Phoenix than it does in Erie, Pennsylvania, too.
UV light does travel through the clouds more than you would think.
No, it's true. And I mean, in the day job, we before we lost all our funding for such things, we used to have grants for renewable energy projects and stuff like that at the day job. And I've sat in on some presentations from some of the solar folks who were like, actually, you'd think it wouldn't work because Erie, Pennsylvania is gray and depressing, but actually it works kind of fine if you figure out where to put it.
Yep. It's interesting. It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I run my light box off a solar panel. It's great. It's saving me money and curing my depression.
Yeah. Your happy light is solar happy light.
Okay. Yep. I'm just doing meth bumps in my my light box.
Wait, no, don't do that.
Jokes. But okay, so there we go. Like, there's another thing, because I mean, Adam, like, at what point does it become confusing where you're losing grant money for renewable energy projects, yet Pennsylvania is giving tax breaks to fracking? Like,
I don't know that that's true that we are.
But that's just money being transferred into things, and I mean, at what point are they not pulling strings to pull grant money away from that?
Well,
regardless if they're getting the tax break.
There's no money for grants for renewable energy projects, but there's also no severance tax for oil and gas leaving the state.
Right. No, I don't know.
And that's a Corbett administration thing that still hasn't. That's a legacy Corbett administration thing that hasn't gone away yet. And the Wolf administration, I've got mostly like 80% positive things to say and positive vibes in general about the Wolf administration, but they've definitely picked their battles and definitely been hamstrung by the legislature that they've got to work with. So, despite the fact that he's the governor, he can't just ram through whatever he wants. So, he's undone the damage that he can undo by himself, but he is undoing it by himself. Like, he's got literally nobody's got his back.
Right.
So
Sean, at what point does this all become like, it's not just the people trying to shut off the pipeline that are seeing how this works. There are the people that are seeing how this works and are like, this is our new like golden ticket into the thing. So how long before Google Hangouts get shut down? How long before it's hard to find, all these Reddit pages go 404,
Yeah.
So is it?
I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is companies are going to stop doing short sales. It's going to happen on the other end. They're going to stop doing this thing that was really risky to begin with. They're going to say, hey, the loophole's done. We can't do it. People are looking now. They're looking for us to do this. We have to be on the defensive. And what happens now is that they're going to basically pull back. Now, maybe they wait 5 years and try it again if the laws don't change. I mean, that's another thing. The laws could change, and then maybe they just say, hey, short sales are not legal anymore. Maybe that's against the rules, SEC regulations.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen, right? This is a whole new game changer, right? This is effectively the exact opposite of the Big Short from 2008 with the housing crisis. Right. This is the big squeeze. This is the biggest squeeze. I mean, they've done squeezes before.
Sure.
But this is the big squeeze, right? So what's going to happen from this? I don't know. I mean, some people are going to lose money in the 401k. I mean, even if they're not involved in GameStop, they might see a little bit of a decrease because the market is going to react to the decrease because these firms are going to have to sell off some of their stocks to cover their losses. It's going to be a natural thing. Who knows how much that's going to go down? Is the Fed going to bail out the investment firms? I hope the fuck not. Like, we did this before. It was a bad idea. Let them go straight down the tubes. Like, just sell them off to the highest bidder and figure it out. Like, just don't do the thing. The laws should change. You know, all these things should just get resolved, right? We should have the conversation, right? This has gone on far too long about how Wall Street can kind of just go off unhinged and do all these things against the common people.
I think it's so overvalued at this point. I think there is nothing propping that up other than people at the top just making, you know.
So keep in mind, and I used to think that the value of a stock actually was representative of the company's value, and that's not true at all.
That's not true.
It's completely dependent upon what people say the value of the company is. And so if everybody holds it, the value stays high. If nobody wants to sell GameStop because they're like, hell no, I put all this money into it, I'm not going to let it go. If everybody that bought 3 shares of GameStop never sells GameStop, GameStop stays the same price.
No.
Like, that's just the nature. Yeah, there's no link between actual company value and that, unless the company's doing like buybacks and stuff. But
I'm a little amazed.
And that's the other thing that we've seen.
I'm a little amazed that it's held all week.
Go ahead, Adam.
Like, I expected, like, I half expected when you and I talked on Wednesday or Thursday that by the time we got to Sunday, we were going to be like, oh, it's back down to $10 again. Never mind. That would have been cool to talk about 36 hours ago. But, you know, it's still closed the day on Friday at, what, 385, 399, something?
It can't drop.
Right.
It can't drop because the amount of people that are holding the line right now is larger than the amount of short sale positions.
Right.
Every week that goes on, or every day that goes on, short sale positions are automatically closing, and they're deciding whether to close their position or accrue interest waiting for the price to drop.
Right.
But basically what ends up happening here is one company decides that they're going to go ahead and they're going to buy back all the stock, which pushes the price up. Then the next investment firm is like, shit, we got to get out too. And so they buy the stock to close their positions, which pushes the price up. And then it's just like they're all eating each other.
Right.
All these investment firms with short sale positions are literally eating each other to death while everybody holds the stock. It's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life.
So if you
absolutely, I mean, it's just. Go ahead. You got questions. Go ahead.
If you don't have any shares, which we've established, but
I don't.
If you did, and it's obviously, I like the stock. I no longer like the stock. But you know, if you did have one that you bought at, you know, $20, $80, $100, like where would you be looking to sell it? Like, what would be your point where you're like, yep, I'm out?
Oh, geez, that's a loaded question.
That's the only kind we got.
First off, if I were to buy a stock in GameStop, I would say the only reason I would do that is because I had enough money to buy that stock that I was willing to lose down to $0. If I lost all that money, because that's the only reason you should ever buy stock is if you're willing to lose that money, because stocks can go down before they go back up. if I were to sell it, I don't know. Like, I guess, like, I see rumors on Reddit that they're trying to shoot to push this to 5,000. I don't think that's an unrealistic number. I think it could go that high if all the short sellers have to close their positions and they're eating each other like a bunch of frenzied sharks trying to get out of this mess. And they just keep doing that over and over and over, because if they don't, they're accruing interest and the price just keeps going up and up and up. Like, fine, it could. I'd probably get out at like half that. I would probably do that. Only because, like, if you were to get out of the situation, like, you wouldn't want to put it at where you would think it's going to go, right? Because that's where everyone else is going to try to go. And imagine, like, it's like a gate that's about to close. And here, therein is the problem, right? So as soon as it hits that upper value, right, the max that it's going to hit, and it starts to dip because all the short sales close, everybody's going to try to sell, but who's going to buy when the short sales are confirmed to be all closed? Nobody, right? So the price just tanks like this. So it's inevitable it's going to tank. That's why I said if I did it, I'd only buy one share, and I'd expect to lose the money, and I'd just ride it out to say I was a part of the experience. It's like buying a ticket to a ridiculous festival.
It's your Firefest ticket.
Yep. And just
Firefest.
Yeah, Firefest. Firefest on Wall Street.
Yeah, Firefest on Wall Street. So I'm looking at I got this stock ticker stuff on my phone about GameStop. So July 31, 2020. I'm looking at the 6 months. It was at $4.
Yeah, it was.
$4.01.
The guy that bought. So deep fucking value. He bought at like $1 or less on all of his stocks. He spent like $700 and some $1,000. He just dumped a boatload of money into like dollar shares.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's up a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I hope he's out. Because if he bought $700,000 worth at $1 a share, and it's now at $300 a share, I can't do that math in my head because I drank a bottle of wine, but I'll do it on my calculator in a second. If I can open my calculator and not my calendar.
I think he has over $1 billion. They said if it goes to 5,000, he has $34 billion. But he's never gonna get.
But I mean, he's already at over 200 million. You know.
Well, he sold enough to cash in 13 million.
Yeah.
And he said he's holding the rest, right? So he cashed out enough to say I'm set, and then he's basically holding the line with everybody else.
Yeah.
Because he's a true warrior.
and that's it. Like, does this show the function of a hedge fund in and of itself? Because this isn't the first time that a hedge fund has been fucking people over. Like, that's kind of their business motto.
Yeah.
I mean, Toys R Us wasn't going down because of anything that was going on with their own consumer market.
Because
it was because a hedge fund bought them and loaded them with debt, took their profit, and let them die. And they've done that with a number of companies. They've done that with a number of homes. And I've read a lot of testimonials about that. Like, our family lost shit. Like, people, especially families that were in construction. And they were just like, in 2008, we lost entire developments, which meant we lost our homes, our savings, our vehicles. We've lost everything because of this, and let them die, because there doesn't seem to be the congenial function of a hedge fund to get behind something that works. You know, like, they're just getting behind money now. Like, the gig economy kind of shit with Uber and Lyft. Like, it will be forever before they are actually making money, and the detriment that it does to the economy as a whole, because of how they're working their employment kind of angle on that, is bad in and of itself. But hedge funds are in and behind that, and I don't see that kind of like, old timey kind of guy with the top hat and the mustache and the monocle that comes up and says, kid, you got a brilliant idea. Here's money to make that work. And then, the next thing you know, you've got a fleet of, like boats that Mark Twain and just, like paddle boats that work, or Fulton's steam engine is making shit. There we go.
See?
That's what I was looking for. But it's not that anymore. It's just chasing money. It's just chasing to cash in. It's just, you could chase apps on, something might happen, versus really investing in creating something that works.
So there's actually been a study about the psychological effect of money, and assuming that a person has zero debt, they figured out that about like $100,000 is what a person can have to sustain all needs, experience life, and to have all the necessities to be healthy, active, and also be able to travel and enjoy life and raise a family. And they found that anybody that goes above that, this is without debt, by the way, above that, and this number was, I think, as of 5 years ago, so it goes up with inflation, right?
Sure.
But like above that value, you actually become unhappy. And the reason why is because as you go up in the pay scale like that, your cash flow increases. And as you get more cash flow, you start to say, hey, I can take on more subscriptions, which is really just a debt.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Buy a second car? You're going to buy a boat? You're going to buy this, you're going to buy that. And all of a sudden now you're hinged to all these other things. And so people that make these extravagant amounts of money, they just buy bigger subscriptions for things. So they're getting like multi-million-dollar mansions, or like another multi-million-dollar mansion as a vacation home, right?
Right.
Or like a multi-million-dollar yacht. And it really does become ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, is it really that great to own that kind of amount, that amount of stuff? Like, life is about experience and traveling and seeing the world. Understanding other cultures, like going to other countries and seeing how other people live and seeing the sights, meeting the locals, right? Of course, be safe about it, but like get to know people in your own country that are from other countries, and then allow yourself to experience other places. I mean, a lot of people, I think, and this is actually a problem here in the US, is we have a lot of fear, and it's fear of the unknown, which is outside of the country.
Yeah.
And people with a lot of money, they can go do all those things, sure. But like, if they have all the money, then that means that the people lower them have less of the money. Like it's like, where does the money has to equate somehow, right? If you have if you're taking the money, somebody else is losing the money, right?
Yeah. There's been the newest fact is like $39 trillion has floated up to the wealthiest people in the world,
right?
Where 37 trillion has been taken from the rest of us, basically.
Right.
I mean, and you look at this shit that's happening now, and you look at how when some people that aren't wearing suit and ties and didn't write a paper at Wharton and just are doing these things, it gets shut down. The pipeline gets shut down. Congress has to investigate it. I mean, there were at least 8 members of Congress that got a briefing on COVID and then sold all their stocks in airlines and cruise ships and everything else and bought into Pfizer and Moderna and stuff. Yeah, and nothing happened to them. I mean, 2 of them lost their election in Georgia, but we were also promised $2,000 if they lost. So, that's how that worked out. But I mean, nothing happened to those people. Like, shit happened to the people that were making this happen, that were in GameStop for the fun, the pleasure, or the reward out of it. The new $15 minimum wage that should have happened 5 or 10 years ago is now on the table till 2026 in an incremental raise kind of way, at which point $26 would be. I mean, right now, if it kept up with productivity, the minimum wage in the United States would be $24 an hour. Imagine how your life would change if if everyone is making $24 an hour as a minimum wage. Of course, there's going to be some inflation, but there's really not, because you can look at shit in Denmark and all they're not paying $40 for a Big Mac. No. It's still the same. Like, in fact, I saw a thing, it was an 8-cent difference for their $20 minimum wage in like Switzerland. But these things, there's a tipping point that I think we're going to reach soon. And I think a lot of it does have to do with the interconnectedness and the lack of localism, because it's one thing for a bunch of people in Erie to look around and be like, well, Hammermill International Paper's gone. You know, all these places are gone that were here and they're never coming back, and woe is me. But it's another thing when you're looking across every part of the country and everyone can say
it's the same. It started in the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt was one of the first ones hit. And Erie, unfortunately, falls within that.
Yeah, because if you do not have to live in this winter hell, in this depressing Eeyore town, then why wouldn't you move to North Carolina for a tax break?
Right.
Why wouldn't you move to Phoenix for a tax break and, you know, golf 360 days a year? Yeah. Yep. But now it's everywhere. I mean, now no one addressed the issue of how to replace what you're taking away. You know, and like, we can't all learn to code. You know, like, I don't think that's a solution to anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I predict in about 15 years that even engineers like myself, like, we're not even going to be coding, because the computers will be coding for us. Like, AI will get to a point where it'll be able to do it itself. There's some predictions on that. Some people are on one side of the fence, some people are on another. Like, everything has phases, and the faster we get through technology, the more we mature in technology, the closer we get to just fully automated system. I mean, there's other conversations we can have about that, but basically, I don't even think coding is going to be a thing in the future, because there's going to be a computer AI agent that can do that itself. It just knows how to code. You just tell it, I want this problem solved. Okay, cool.
How far off are we from some Wall-E, like, zeitgeist end of the, you know, instead of an Amazon hub, there's just a huge 3D printer that, you know, it grows carrots, it makes your SUV, like, it gives you like
I see you're thinking about having a Caesar salad. Here, let me print you one.
So like Star Trek, like one of those, just like you say, hey, make me the thing, and it makes you think. I mean, that is a very difficult question to answer. But I mean, a lot of it boils down to, is the government going to create slow progress so that we can't get things done fast enough? The regulations prevent us from getting there. But like, if we had no barriers, we could be there in probably 20 years. It's the barriers that are causing problems. But the barriers exist for a reason. They exist to protect us from bad things. Like, if some company said, hey, we've decided we made this thing and we got it done really fast, and everybody's like, yay, and they start using it, like 50% of the population dies because it wasn't ready yet. Oh shit.
Well, and I think
like,
the
FDA is terrible, but at some level
just to take a total left turn, I think that's a big reason for some of the suspicion and hesitation that's out there about vaccines right now. About the COVID vaccine, because like, we have jumped off the normal pathway where it takes a generation to come up with a vaccine for a disease that's killing people. And it's like, you know, people die of polio for 50 years, and then like, there's a polio vaccine, and in a couple generations we'll get rid of this. And now we're like, yeah, we're just gonna skip all of this. 4 months. Yeah, we got it ready. It's I'm sure it's fine. And so, you know,
there's a huge difference between polio and COVID.
Oh, obviously.
COVID is a coronavirus, and common colds are coronaviruses. They're just not the same as COVID-19.
Right.
And coronaviruses have been around forever, for a long time. We've been studying them for a long time.
Right.
And that's where that whole stupid ass Bill Gates conspiracy comes from.
Right.
About Bill Gates is doing the thing with coronavirus, and you know he planned this. Whatever. Give me a break. Coronaviruses cause the common cold.
Yeah.
So get out of here.
But like, just that
we already have a foundation.
Just the fact that is the kind of the traditional life cycle for eradicating a disease, or, you know, having a vaccine that eliminates something that's this much of a threat. Like, I'm an engineer, I'm a science guy, so I'm obviously, that's the side that I'm on. But, you know, when to outward appearances we seem to be so far off what has always been the track that diseases go down, as far as there's there's a disease, it kills us for 50 years, and then some scientist who wins 17 Nobel Prizes comes up with a vaccine. We work on it for 20 years, and then we start giving it to people, and then in another generation, the disease is mostly gone. And now we're like, we've compressed that timeline from multiple generations to less than a year. So just
There's a reason for that.
There absolutely is a reason for that, and there's multiple reasons for that, and I understand the reasons for that. But like just the 50-foot view of what used to take multiple generations, we've now done in under a year, and that's scary for people. I get the knee jerk that's scary for people, because shouldn't this take longer? Shouldn't we spend more time thinking about this or something?
So there's a law called Moore's law, in which that states that the acceleration of technology doubles every so many years, and so basically you get an exponential increase.
Right.
Most people, I don't know at what point people are able to understand exponential increases, but there are people out there that don't understand exponential increases, right? And technology moves at an exponential rate because we're able to double the amount of energy that we can push through transistors, which is the fundamentals of computer CPUs.
Sure.
And so that is the problem. The thing is, what's really ironic, right, is that when it comes to like cell phones and laptops and TVs and stuff like that, people are like, that's cool. But like medicine, I don't know.
Right. When Moore's law starts applying to medicine, then it turns into like scary dystopian sci-fi stuff for some people. No, I get it.
Well, I think that the entire country suffers from that in so many cultural ways, and I think that lends itself to that same fear of just drag them kicking and screaming into this. And I think now, like, if now was happening in at the turn of the 19th century, 20th century, at the turn of the 20th century, it would have just been like no cars because Horseshoe International and the Shit Shovelers Union are completely against these, these gasoline automobiles that you want to put on the streets, and we would lose out on progress. And I mean, we're wasting time and opportunity trying to keep
progress from skepticism.
No.
Well, from skepticism and from trying to maintain these legacy institutions.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, like, it's amazing what Google and Alphabet have done as a new company, to like come onto the scene and just own it and just be able to build secret black boxes on floating barges off the coast. And, but just the control and just the seat at the table, like that's fascinating that, it's not a Rothschild, like it's this newfangled Cowboy West gold money that, I don't know that people can work with or have seen or know the capability of. And I'm just picking on that, for obvious reasons. But I mean, there's a bunch of people that are scared of those kinds of things.
I think fundamentally it boils down to people are always afraid of change. They don't want to change. And the older you get, the less likely it is that you want to change. And it just, people need to, people will never change. People will always kind of stay the same. But like, the ones that, this is where it kind of goes back to like what I said, if you can travel the world and see other cultures, you're actually experiencing change because you're seeing something different. And that's a big problem with this country, is because the moving of money up to the upper echelons is extracting it out of the majority of the people, and they can't afford to go do that. So they can't see the rest of the world. They're getting used to doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and they start to not want change.
Well, and the people who
it's almost like a psychological problem.
And the people who can afford to see the world are seeing the world. I mean, there's exceptions, obviously, but the people who can afford to see the world are seeing the world in such an insulated way that they're seeing the world without getting the world on them. Like they're just sort of like parting the world and traveling through it. Like I'm not gonna.
Oh, without talking to people that are in the places, they're just kind of seeing the sights and stuff, and just
right.
kind of,
Yeah, like I'm gonna go to Mexico without getting any Mexico on me. I'm gonna go to Thailand without getting any Thailand on me. I'm gonna spend my hour in the markets getting my pad thai for $3 and feel like I've had an authentic experience on the other side.
2 or
of the
3
world.
lady boys back to the hotel.
Yep.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
And back to Long Island for the weekend.
I think that's where understanding that meeting locals and going on experiences with people that are from that location is where you're going to get the best experience. But again, like you said, most people aren't going to do that. They're going to go and do the travel, the tourist traps.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people just do the tourist traps out of safety, fear of the unknown. Oh, I don't want to go off the beaten path. I'm gonna travel the path that everyone else travels. But you know what? The most fun people in the world travel the path less traveled.
Yep, absolutely.
Just make it up as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's nothing
going
3
back...
nights in a Mexican jail can't solve.
What? Now hold on a second. Slow down.
Going back to Moore's Law, our friend Violet in the comments says Moore's Law has some limit, though, right? Can we go smaller? Can we get smaller transistors than single electrons? That's a good point. And I'm on the Wikipedia page about Moore's Law right now. Yeah, Gordon Moore, namesake of Moore's Law, 2005 said, obviously you can't go on infinitely because you can't go smaller and smaller till you get to like an indivisibly small place. Gordon Moore in 2005 said 10 to 20 years from 2005 until we get to a limit of Moore's Law, which we're now at 15 years of that 10 to 20 years of Moore's Law. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, what do you think, software guy?
So, I mean, basically Moore's Law breaks down at the atomic level.
Right.
She's absolutely right.
Yep.
It does break down there. Now, our limits, our abilities to break that down is going to be throttled by our own limits as human beings. If we employ that technology into artificial intelligence could literally break down matter itself into atomic particles and basically optimize matter itself, which becomes a whole nother problem in and of itself, because what if AI is running rampant and just breaking down matter in front of you and you're like just seeing pixels fly or things just falling apart in particles. Like you could literally see that. Like
that does sound like a problem. I will say, I'm fairly pro technology in general.
That's a bad scenario. We don't want to go there.
My hot take is that does sound like a problem.
Yeah, not good.
No.
I wouldn't do that.
No,
but AI
double
might,
plus
and we might not be able to say no. So let's hope we got a kill switch on that.
Right. And who forgets the kill switch? And it's like, oh, we didn't hook up the button.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bug. It's a bug.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a feature in and of itself that was self-repaired and fixed. Now
this was in
this.
feet, but this was in meters. Whoops.
Oops.
Yep. That's all right. The only way to win the game is not to play. So that's
just sit there. Just observe, because everything only exists if you observe, right? Schrodinger's law. Don't play it. Just observe.
Yeah.
Just observe.
You're still playing if you observe.
You're getting very quantum here for a Sunday night.
All right.
Well, all right. Now, I was just going to make a quantum leap joke, but I couldn't think of the name of the thing where he's like,
the button thing?
When Bakula was like shorty, but it wasn't. And it was, I don't know.
That was a great show.
That was a great show.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
And nothing happened with that guy. Nothing. Bakula, nothing.
No.
Like you're
wanting
to. Yeah. I mean, at least Richard Dean Anderson had like what General Hospital before he had MacGyver. And it was just Ziggy. Thank you, Tapper.
Thanks, Tapper.
Thank you, Tapper.
But then he had Stargate.
Well, all right, you're right. Stargate. Good for Richard Dean Anderson. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. MacGyver was a great show.
Yeah, I
it's
think
pretty dated now.
If you watch, I was just gonna say, if you watch that shit now, but like the promise, we were talking about this last week, but like the promise and the dreams that we were fed growing up, that these things were like a possibility and for you. Like you can get some batteries and a tampon and like make a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things were within our grasp. And now you get into reality and they're not. And you know,
we were
disappointing.
We were promised hoverboards by now. And not the stupid hoverboards that like, you know, roll down the street on one wheel and then you know
catch on fire, burn your house
and then you break your knee. No, like we were promised actual hoverboards by now, and I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, same.
So Sean Murray, I mean, this all obviously ends in flames for somebody, but how does this end?
Which part? AI, GME? Let's talk about GME.
Yeah, going back to the GameStop thing, like, you know.
Okay. So basically, my prediction here is so some of the short sale positions have already closed. A lot of short sale positions are still in play. And apparently the number of short sale positions that are in play is actually greater than, because they're allowed to borrow more than 100% of the total number of GME shares.
Right.
The total number of short sale positions is greater than the number of stocks that are currently purchased, which means that if everybody that's holding the stocks right now holds, then that means all the short sale positions have to close by contract or accrue interest every day and wait until the stock goes down. But if everybody holds, then eventually they have to, you know, cry wolf and do the thing and buy the stock, right? So if everybody holds, then the stock price keeps going up because they're going to have to keep just chewing themselves to death up the ladder and the thing's going to shoot to the moon. The question is, who's going to get that money? And who of the average normal people, and like I'm not saying average normal people, but like retail investors. So not financial investor corporations, but retail investors, us. Who of us is going to get fucked on the way down? Because it will crash. It is going to crash, and it's going to crash right around when the short sales are done. And we don't exactly know when that's done. So short sales don't have to be disclosed publicly. That is something that, you know, this situation is actually causing people to have a conversation about, to call for that to be made public now, legally.
Yeah.
But you can look at the stock market and you can basically grab data from it because it's all publicly available, and you can see how many short positions or puts are there, because essentially a short would be like basically how many people are predicting the stock's going to go down.
Yeah. So at what point does that just become a thing that someone starts feeding out every day? You know, like here's the next one. They've
already tried that.
Yeah.
They've tried to say that Melvin Capital liquidated all their short sell positions, and a lot of people are calling bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. There's no real way to know when the short squeeze is going to happen. It's coming, and it's coming like a freight train.
So what do you see as the time frame for this thing? Is it? I mean, are we talking?
Well, here, what's going to happen? Are the hedge funds going to get bailed out first, or are we going to get our $2,000, $1,400, $600 checks?
I'd say if the hedge funds got bailed out, then there is going to be a worse situation than what happened in 2008. That's my prediction, because the people are not going to deal with another bailout. This is too public now. If they bail out the hedge funds for this kind of behavior, this whole situation implodes. There's going to be a lot of shit flying.
I want to believe. I mean,
did you see what happened at the Capitol? That's just things are getting worse in this country. This is just another situation on top of that. If this happens, imagine everybody just getting super pissed, losing like 10% of their 401k. Because hedge funds decided to be assholes, and irresponsible.
By their very nature.
Yep.
By their very
because it was made legal.
That's what they're here for.
And it's all part of this. So let's not sugarcoat this. The politics is deeply embedded in the financials. It's all the same because we're not.
Yeah.
The word
destruction of Glass.
The
destruction of Glass-Steagall, like the watering down of any bills to keep any kind of regulation happening, like, and then the money that just flows in. But the thing that pisses me off the most is it's so cheap. Like our Congress people are so cheap to buy. Like they're so inexpensive to buy that it's like Steve Cohen, who's in on this Melvin thing and who's backing it, and he's also the owner of the Mets. But he made $12 billion doing some other chicanery in the last decade, had to pay a $2 billion fine, and is still a huge hedge fund guy.
Whatever,
still
got
still
10.
all up in everything, and still that's I will take that trade every time. Just someone show me how to make $12 billion, pay a $2 billion fine, keep $10 billion, and own a Major League Baseball team. That's the American dream that I want for everyone.
It's nice,
but
work.
It's not happening.
It's nice work if you can get it.
This reminds me. So all the stuff that's happening with Robinhood and them like cutting sales and saying like you can't sell this amount or are they shutting down the stock?
Yeah.
They know that the fine is less than the amount they'll lose if they let it keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus they've got an IPO that they're about to announce. So they've got the interworkings of this are fascinating to me because it does touches every kitchen table for everybody with a 401k and anybody that just exists in our American economy because it's going to fucks with it somehow,
Right.
So one way or another. The politics of it because of the lack of regulation and just the interplay and the cheap, like steak dinner and $50 bottle of wine that gets you everything that you want anyway. But,
it gets you anything you want from me.
Patreon, SDVH, sign up, buy us wine, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get anything you want from us.
Anything you want. OnlyFans, Social Distancing Variety Hour. I'll show you what's what. I'll give you.
Yeah.
I'll show you the market going up.
And then going down. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Sad trombones.
Still worth it.
Whatever market still went up.
Yeah.
Stonks go up, right?
Stonks go up.
Stonks.
Carl Stonks.
Carl Stonks.
I've heard that we can't see our t-shirts as well as.
Is that a play on Karl Marx? But Carl Stonks?
It is.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the many things
made by Maris.
Yeah, from the Made by Maris collection. One of the many things that can be available to you if you support the show at patreon.com/SDVH.
And support us because we're losing our asses on our short selling. So,
yeah,
that's why.
I said GameStop was going to go down to 43 cents. That's I'm holding out as long as I can. So I need your $2 a month just to get me through until this crashes. So help a brother out if you would. Sean
Please,
Murray, any parting remarks for the folks?
I just want to say thank you for having me. It's really great to be here. I love to just talk shit and talk about a bunch of random stuff. I'm so invested in pop culture, it's not even funny. So
yeah, we're definitely gonna have you back for a fun one.
Yeah,
we'll definitely get you back for a fun show. Anything anything you want to plug? Anybody you're listening to right now that's making are you in a place right now where it's like you need jungle or you need house? Are you in any of those? Are you in a drone in a mood? Where
if you got any dark German techno mixes or drum and bass mixes, I love that stuff. But I just want to shout out to my one of my best friends, Ashley Sayer. She's out there, she's watching. One of my best friends. So
Friend of the
Can't wait to see you.
Friend
Come
of the
visit soon.
program. Friend of the program. She's been on a couple times. We conquered the one chip challenge together last time she was on the program. I'm still a champion.
Yep.
Conquered. She did
conquered.
It. She conquered it.
She's good with that stuff.
I sweated really uncomfortably. There was no puking. I assure you, there was no puking.
No puking.
There was
the only other thing I would say is
a lot of discomfort.
Oh, go ahead.
A lot of discomfort, but no puking. I assure you.
Yeah, it's sometimes no fun. But yeah, the one thing I want to say is, if you're out there watching and you make art, do it, because art is an extension of your emotions. You are basically turning your emotions in. You're physically manifesting your emotions into a tangible, real thing in the real world, and that holds infinite value because someone out there is going to appreciate it. So just do it. That's all I gotta say.
That's fantastic, Sean. You got to come back, and we will do a fun one, and we'll play some music, and
most definitely
we'll plan a party in the We'll all meet in the middle somewhere, like at some warehouse in Chicago or something.
Kansas.
And when everything's good and
I'm
whole,
down, yeah.
and we'll just put our heads in speakers, and it'll be great. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I want to go back.
I'm not losing enough hearing.
Yeah, no, just I don't want to know. Just make it clean. Sean Murray, thank you so much tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Absolute
Thank you,
pleasure.
guys.
Michael, should we go to some music and come back and say goodnight to the people?
Can I come back?
All right.
Yes, that's exactly what we'll do.
Bringing it back, bringing it back. Social distancing variety hour. Much love and respect to Sean Murray.
Super dope.
Yeah. Check him out online.
Much love and respect to Nicole Newlist.
Our very first Patreon subscriber. Thank you very much. This is not your official shout out on the show. This is an off the record shout out on the show.
No, this is just.
Yeah, this is just.
And for being the first, we'll get your T-shirt size to Adam, and we'll get you a Carl Stonks shirt.
Yeah, you can get Carl Stonks, or you know, we got options. We'll surprise you. Maybe it'll be. We
got options. We'll give you a choice. Yeah,
from the Made by Maris collection.
It'll be a surprise.
Do you like the stock? I like the stock. Do you like the stock?
I like the stock. I think the stock's going up. SDVH. I got a long put on it.
Yeah, I got a call on it. I like penguins.
We're going public.
I like penguins. Do you like penguins?
I like penguins. I like dags.
Yeah, I like
dags.
I like dags. I like Spanish red. Do you like Spanish red?
I love Spanish red. You really killed that whole bottle.
Oh yeah.
Damn, I was invested in the guest.
Oh, I was invested
tonight,
in the guest, but you know, you were carrying a lot of weight, so I had wine drinking time.
I also ate like a huge steak.
Oh
right before.
Yeah.
You're like too soon.
Yeah, and I don't eat much meat anymore, so I was feeling.
I'll do it for you.
Feeling light on my feet.
You're loose. You look light on it.
Yeah, thanks.
Light in your loafers.
Oh, I got new slippers. Speaking of loafers.
Oh.
I got my toes are so comfy in my new slippers. They're so great. From Earthshine, Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. Shout out to Earthshine, Edinburgh, Pennsylvania.
Nice. They could be paying for advertising like that.
They could be. So
could you.
So could
you. You and your nonprofit could be paying for advertising.
There's
dozens of eyes ready to spend their hard-earned money on you.
Hundreds of eyes. Let's be fair. Let's be fair to ourselves, Michael. We got screen real estate up in this part of the screen up in here, which we could make available to you. We got area
up in here,
area down here.
I'll make a T-shirt that's your name here.
Yeah.
Your name here. This wine glass is just ready for your words.
Yeah.
I will put your name.
Yeah. It could say.
I'll put a picture of you on.
Drink Coke right there.
Drink Coke.
Drink Coke.
Coca-Cola. Snickers. Now I'm doing.
Tapper says
charge me for
advertising. We should make a promo to play on face cookies.
I plug this show so much.
I know. Like you plug this
on that show because
bless your heart, you plug this show even when you don't know I'm listening. Like I tuned into the show. I know. I don't always tune into the show. I tune into the show.
That's not for you.
No, I know it's not for me, but
pop in.
I do. I mean, I enjoy the show. I enjoy the show. But I pop into the show.
I'm not saying you would enjoy it, but I'm saying you already have like a refined musical taste.
Oh, thanks.
You don't need a gatekeeper.
No.
Some people need a gatekeeper, and I try to provide that.
And I have discovered plenty of stuff that I love on your show, like Amerigo Gazaway. Shout out to Amerigo Gazaway. Amerigo Gazaway, a thing that I discovered on your show when you started playing stuff from the Fela Soul mashup.
The Fela Kuti.
Yeah, Fela Kuti and De La Soul thing.
I was watching a Celtics game the other night, and they don't have fans in the arena. And I was watching like a raw feed. So when they went to timeout, they don't cut to commercial. They just keep into the thing.
Yeah.
And they were playing fucking Fela at the TD Garden during one of the timeouts.
For nobody.
And I was just like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
For nobody. But the players heard it. But I mean, the fact that,
and I bet they thought it was fucking
the point
dope
where
because it is
now that
because it's Fela. Yep.
It's Fela. Anyway,
so this is the kind of content,
but
this is the kind of content, by the way. Hi, Tapper. This is the kind of content, by the way, that will be part of our bonus cookies videos available at the $5 subscription level on the Patreon, patreon.com/SDVH.
So Maris is like, what's bonus cookies?
Bonus cookies.
It's like, oh, that's extra cookies.
That's extra cookies.
Bonus cookies.
Yeah, when face cookies time is over.
Yeah, but it's,
then when we
it's time for bonus cookies.
It's time for bonus cookies. And we all know what bonus cookies is.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Sometimes there's bonus cookies. And now when there's bonus cookies, you can be a part of those bonus cookies. I like the stock. Do you like the stock?
I like the stock. I like that Tapper's already trying to get somebody to give him their pass to get into the after party.
Fuck off, Tapper.
Oh, man, that's another thing. That's seriously. No, I'd never say that. I can't. I believe in the light and the way of Tapperism.
Yeah, I do too.
So, some might call me a zealot, but
there's that old Tapperist koan. If you meet the Tapper on the road, kill him.
Oh, this is awkward. Yeah, yeah.
Sean Murray says, "Did someone say after party?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone
because the best parts is after we turn off the lights. When we're off after the show, we should let some select people in on that if you're at the right Patreon level.
Oh,
because the shit that we talk after the show.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Names get named.
You could be in the room.
Names get named. Tea gets spilled. You could be in the room where it happens. The room where it happens. The room where it happens. And that is my Hamilton reference for this week.
Oh man,
we like the stock. We like Penguins.
Yeah, I like the stock. I like the stock. I like Sean Murray.
Yeah, we like Sean Murray.
I think that was great.
Yeah,
next week.
Oh, next week.
Go ahead.
Matt Boland, Yeshua, throwing it all the way back, way back on our bullshit, going back to week 1. Yeshua, it's gonna be like that, because Yeshua made it. He's got new music. He's got all sorts of exciting developments and merchandising opportunities. So, come sell out with us.
Merchandising.
We like the stock.
It's been a minute since we talked to Brooke Boland.
It has. We've
one of them characters that you used to see, somewhere on the go, whether he was on the stage or in a van rolling by with the door open. There was a chance that you would see Matt Boland at least twice a week. And now, after all this, it's, he's not ubiquitous. It's been a while since anyone's tipped their hat and said, all right, to me.
We like the
stock. I hope he's wearing a clean vest.
I hope so, too.
I like the stock.
Yeah, I hope he's got his sleeve rolled up so he can see the pickle tattoo.
Do you know how many fucking people have pickle tattoos in this town? We've got to talk about this next week. Holy shit!
Save that.
Holy shit!
Save that thought.
Like, what a Oh, it's gonna be fun. Next week will be a fun one.
We like the
promises.
We like the stock.
I like the stock.
We like Penguins.
I like you.
We like
and you.
We like
all of you.
We like pickle tattoos.
Sally, Tapper.
We like Sally.
Ashley.
We like Tapper.
Violet. There's more. Nicole.
Peacocks. Koalas.
Evil Al
Baldwin. Sean Holt. Boogly Doots. Sean Holt, I grabbed some of your video. We'll play some Sean Holt video on the show next week, and we'll roll up our sleeves to show our pickle tattoos.
It'll be great. Buy more stocks. Put more billionaires out of business. Yeah. Fuck them. So what if some boomer loses their 401k? I don't care.
And then
put them out on the street.
Once you sell your stonks, Send us $5 on Patreon, patreon.com/SDVH, Social Distancing Variety Hour.
SDVH. Carl Stonks.
Carl Stonks.
Social Distancing Variety Hour, made by Maris. Eerie.